I really see 4M just becoming a standard. And if you're not using it, then you're falling behind in the industry. I've seen this in the past, where there's new innovation, whether it's a software package or something else, and one company uses it, another company doesn't. The company that's not using it, they will fall off and they will fall behind.
Welcome to 4M and 10M, where industry experts share real stories on how they're using AI to plan, design, and build better together in 10 minutes or less. Today, we're joined by LeLand Rowse, Project Development Manager at Burns and McDonnell. LeLand, thanks for being on the show today. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Having a great week and looking forward to this.
Well, LeLand, as we always do at the beginning of the show, do you mind just sharing with the audience a little bit more about yourself, your role, and the company you work for?
So, as you said, LeLand Rowse, I've been with my company, be 30 years in March this year. I have had lots of experience from working in aviation and civil, did a lot of work over in the Middle East, working on some air bases back in the day. That was some eye-opening and a good experience for a nice young person like me too. And then I am now in the transmission and distribution world, and I'm in the underground and submarine cables group. I've been with them since 2004 when I came back, and I have seen kind of all aspects of projects from large to small, and it's been eye-opening to see how technology has changed over the time and seeing how we adapt to it and how we incorporate it. So I think this is awesome. Always seeing innovation coming into play. I'm always looking for innovation. So I'm excited for another great partnership with 4M.
30 years, that's quite the career with Burns and Mac, and I can only imagine the type of technology advancements over that 30-year span. And I can imagine just recently, within the last 10 years, it's really started to accelerate.
Yeah. Back when I originally started, we were hand drafting, and CAD drafting was really just becoming a thing at that point. And, it was, I'll age myself a little bit, but we used to put the files on what we called floppy disks, and there was no servers, there was no cloud, there was none of this innovation and technology. And so seeing it all develop has been just impressive to me. And like you said, yeah, over the last few years, it has just skyrocketed. And to me, that is exciting, right? It's bringing in new talent that this old timers will say, myself, is like, I didn't even know you could do that, And so this is what I enjoy. I like pushing the envelope. That is what I do. And if I'm not pushing the envelope or somebody's pushing me to push the envelope, I feel like, it's just stagnant. So it's been exciting.
LeLand, can you just take me back a little bit to when Burns and McDonnell decided to use 4M's data, 4M's platform? Take me back to that time. Like, why did you guys decide to use 4M?
I think this goes back to that innovation, right? So we're always looking to innovate. This was an innovation tool that we had been talking about even before we came upon 4M for a couple of years. And so then when we were presented for what 4M was doing, I was just like, this is fantastic. This kind of jumps us ahead in where I thought we would be at that point. And it just helps Burns and McDonnell stand out as a partner with 4M and in the industry at this point.
LeLand, as a leader at Burns and Mac, when you're adopting new technologies, change management, I'm assuming, can be quite a challenge. How does your team specifically, how have they approached adopting 4M into their daily workflows? Has it been challenging, easy? Can you kind of walk me through that?
It's been a struggle. With the size of our company, and change is always hard for people. Some people love change, a lot of people don't. But what we've taken is a very methodical approach to how we are using 4M. And so we can get the most out of it with smaller teams. And then from there, we'll build and expand it. What we've seen in the past is when we come in with a new software and we say, everybody's got to use it, not everybody's going to use it. And it's hard to manage who's going to be able to use that.
Yeah, I know when I adopt new technologies, I'm always even resistant myself. You get kind of used to a certain way, and adopting anything, there's going to be some kind of learning curve or something. But then once I adopt that technology, I can't think about going back to not using that technology. There might be a little friction in the beginning, but once you get into it, it's really hard to go back. LeLand, when you look at project delivery from a high level, where's your team seeing the biggest impact from 4M?
I'd say right off the bat, we're seeing it impacts on our proposals in our feasibility projects. We're looking at different ways that we can use different groups within our company. As I said, we're a large company, of how we can go beyond just proposals and feasibilities. Can we actually incorporate it into design at some point? There's many other aspects, and as 4M expands their abilities, it's also expanding our capabilities of what we can do with it. So
I'm sure any way that you guys can maximize ROI. So how can you use this data in more areas to really have that multiplier effect on the ROI of the technology that you guys are utilizing?
right, that is the bottom line, right? If we can get our return on investment, that's what we're after. That's what innovation is. You know, it might not see it right up front, but you will be seeing it at the end or even a part way down. So you can't always just go by, I'm not seeing it immediately. You have to give it time.
Talking about time, LeLand, over the next, say, year or two, where do you see 4M making the biggest impact in how Burns and McDonnell delivers projects?
I really see 4M just becoming a standard. And if you're not using it, then you're falling behind in the industry. I've seen this in the past, where there's new innovation, whether it's a software package or something else, and one company uses it, another company doesn't. The company that's not using it, they will fall off and they will fall behind. They might bring it in a couple of years later, but they're 2 years behind at that point. So if you're not in front of it, you're behind it. And that's not where we want to be as a company.
People that are adopting it early, you have that competitive edge before everybody else starts to use it and it's a standard. So this is kind of like a nice golden window right now for you early adopters and the companies that are really innovative and pushing the needle.
Yeah, I agree. This is why I love this partnership and getting in early. It's the best thing we can do right now.
So LeLand, at 4M, our mission is to build better together by making America's utility data accessible, reliable, and actionable across teams, workflows, and technologies. In your experience, which has been the hardest to align? The people, the data, the technology, and why?
People, easily. People are always toughest to adapt change. Computers you can change. They don't complain, right? People are always going to change. They don't like change. So you have to find the ones that are looking to take that chance and want to innovate. And you get positive outcome when you find those people. And when you see that, others take note and they will also adapt the change.
How would you say reliable data make the other two easier to manage?
It's easy. I mean, if the data is reliable, it makes the people understand that and they're willing to change that much faster and implement into their daily process. It's a simple thing.
All right, LeLand. Well, my favorite part has just begun. You have entered the lightning round.
Let's go.
Jumping right into it. What's an industry buzzword you would love to ban?
Oh, this is funny. Bullish. I think it's been abused so much over the last couple of years that I'm just kind of really over it. It's not one I ever really picked up, but I hear it too much sometimes.
If you could instantly know one thing on every project, what would it be?
Oh, will I be profitable as a company and will my client be profitable with the same project?
What's a TV show you can rewatch forever?
I'm not a big TV person, but I have to fall back on Tool Time with Tim. It was always funny for me.
That's the one where the neighbors, you can only see his eyes above the fence.
Yep. Yep. Never knew who he was.
All right. Last question. Favorite infrastructure project you've ever worked on?
Oh, man. I've worked on so many different things over my career, but I'd have to say the favorite one was a tunnel 190 feet under a river in New York. And we were tasked to do a 3D design of all utilities, that was electric, water, gas, everything going through the tunnel in a newer software that probably wasn't built quite for it, to make sure that there was no conflicts between any of the infrastructure that was being put in place. It was quite impressive when we got done, and even got to visit it in the field. So it was impressive, I'll have to say.
Well, that's a wrap, everybody, for another episode of 4M and 10M. Huge thanks to my friend LeLand for joining us today and sharing how Burns and Mac is using AI-powered utility data in their daily workflows to build smarter, faster, safer infrastructure. Thanks so much, LeLand, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.